Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode where I'm joined by a beautiful divine brother, which is really nice to sit with a brother because there's beautiful, amazing ladies out there and divine goddesses that I get to share this space with, and it's not as often a man sitting here with me. So I'm really grateful to have Rob join me, and welcome, brother.
Hey, thank you, Jacob, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really nice that you come on. This is our first time we've come together actually, and so we haven't met before. We haven't sat in circle or shared anything. We've seen each other's journey on Facebook and a few comments from time to time, and I find what I really see with your work because you dabble a lot and well, you dabble in different areas and you're very expansive in certain areas because you've been doing that for many years, 30 plus years, that I see with the plants. And I see in your photography and your art, the way you create, I really get a sense of a real deep love and respect of nature.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, nature has been always very central in my life from the age of 3, 4 years old until now. Yeah, 65 tomorrow. Yeah,
Oh, wow. Happy birthday for tomorrow. So you're a Leo.
day after tomorrow. So
Oh,
yeah.
day after tomorrow. Okay. Um, so since 3 or 4, well, and you've managed to stay that close connection with nature from that age, or have you had a time where you were really pulled away
Well,
from it?
and I was very young, and I don't remember having my parents around. I was left to it till the age of 5, basically, and we lived in Apeldoorn in Holland, where the Kroon domain, where the Royal Forest, and I was wandering all the time. The police brought me home several times. I remember taking plants out of people's garden and putting them in our garden, and that was not appreciated. So the police came again. They
Okay.
didn't expect it was a 4-year-old, you know. But I always had this. I have a love for nature. I have a love for beauty. Um, I have a love for beauty. I've had it all my life. I think astrologically, that's in my Venus in Virgo, and um, yeah, and so nature catches my eye, and I can see detail in nature. Anyway, my journey in life, I've always asked the question why. You know, a spiritual seeker. Even I ended up using lots of marijuana when I was a teenager. I even used heroin for a while. I never liked it. I could never get addicted to it because I didn't like what it was doing to me. But it took me a while to get off it. And then I became involved in yoga meditation from the age of 18 to 28, lived like a monk, taught yoga classes, practiced yoga, did my sadhana meditation, Raja yoga, uh, yeah, the higher forms of yoga, and I still do that. Although then I was more disciplined, and then I was always looking for a vehicle to be of service, and then I found out about homeopathy, and what attracted me to homeopathy is that the medicine includes everything. It includes the emotions, the physical, every aspect of the human being. So the study of homeopathy was like the study of people. Each medicine was like getting to know a person very, very deeply, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so I became very passionate. I studied like crazy. I did the 5-year course in 2 years and had the highest marks because they said, we're going to mark you really seriously because you're in a hurry. And I
Right.
ended up teaching there a bit and met my wife, Kiwi, in Holland, and she didn't want to live in Holland. And I felt immediately excited about going to New Zealand. So I moved to New Zealand, immigrated in 1990. And then I arrived here. I walked here into the bush and I thought, my God, this is amazing. The energy of these plants is just fantastic. And I started thinking, okay, I come from Europe. I've got all this homeopathic medicine. Okay, but you know, in here in the bush, look at that. I wish I could um, could explore it. And in homeopathy, we have techniques where we can learn about the medicine of plants by making a remedy out of it and taking it, writing down what it does, and doing it in a group. So I had a lot of means of investigating the plants here in New Zealand, but I always felt a little bit sensitive about it because there's Maori culture, and Maori culture has lived with the Aotearoa, with the bush medicine for so many years. So I was very careful not to step on, I really honor Maori culture. But then I was in a crisis in my life. I had a college myself, started a college, didn't go so well. Teaching homeopathy I love, but to be the head of a college wasn't really my thing. Anyway, it was a difficult time in my life, and I went to Touw, that's Mauao Island. And at 12 o'clock at night, I was sitting on the beach, and there were lots of Maori people around me because that night the island was given back to the Maori tribe. And the next thing, like this, for 3 hours, I'm going like, and the souls, all these souls came in and out of my chest. And they were coming and going, and I felt that pain of leaving. I felt their coming home. I felt their going. There were so many, and this intense feeling of pride. Initially, people around me were afraid of me because I couldn't control it. It took over. I was like, but then it became very, very beautiful. I ended up in this river of souls, and I disappeared, and in this river of souls. And everything didn't matter anymore. Death didn't mean anything anymore. It was an awesome feeling. It was like, and I was totally aware. I wasn't unconscious, but I was, and the Maori people around me, they said, "Are you okay?" And they could feel there was something really big going on. It lasted for 3-4 hours. And the next day, I woke up, of course. And when I looked at the plant, everything was sacred. It was the weirdest experience. Everything I looked at in nature was so sacred. If I looked at a tree, then I remember, and I thought, if I know that tree, I know everything there is to know in the universe. Yeah. Each plant is stepping into a doorway into the universe. And I felt I was given permission to go on my journey to study the native plants. So from that moment on, I changed my way of working with the medicine. In homeopathy, I learned from the books. I studied so hard, memorizing all this stuff. But this time, I had to go and spend time with the plants themselves and not read about it. So I started doing that. And I remember the first plant I did it with was a tree, it was a totara tree. And I sat with it. It was sort of a couple of weeks later. I was back home. I sat with the totara tree, and I asked, "Okay, what is your medicine?" And I had this magical experience. So my mind went from this to everything is possible. It was such an awesome experience. Everything is possible. So I sit with the tree, and I thought, "Oh, I'm not getting anything." And then I was thinking about my teenage years, about something traumatic that happened. And I went in it, and I gave up. I said, Totara is not telling me anything. And then I realized that is what Totara was telling me, was about this event that happened in my teenage years. And whatever happened, I knew Totara was a medicine for that. So that is what I started to do. And I was privileged because I had good recommendations when I came to New Zealand. I was teaching in the colleges, in naturopathic college, in the Tauranga homeopathic college. They've all gone. Auckland College. So I had lots of students. So I had lots of people that I could experiment the native bush medicines with if they were willing to partake in my journey. So I made a remedy from the plants. I made remedies from the animal. I made a remedy from the kiriru. I found the kiriru. I used the feather and a little bit of the kiriru. And respectfully made it into a homeopathic medicine, which is diluting, shaping. And I found an owl, so I made a remedy from the owl. I made remedies from most of the big counties, I thought they individually needed to have their story. And my students, they took these medicines without knowing what it was. So they took these medicines and then wrote down how they feel. And I had a class in Hamilton Polytechnic with 20 people, and only one of them wanted to become a homeopath. So I was left with 20 people to keep their interest, but they were with me for the whole year, and we had a ball because they tried all these medicines, and for example, they tried. I made this remedy of the owl, and I gave that to them. I said, "Do you want to partake in this experiment? Here's a remedy I made from something. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to experience it and write it down. Be aware of your dreams after you take it. And when you come back, you tell me the story." And they said to me, "Oh, but we have exams soon. It's not going to interfere with our exam." I said, "No, it will be fine." And I thought it would be fine, Anyway, they came back a week later and they go, "What did you give us? What did you give us? We could study like never before. We all had such high marks and we could memorize everything." And it went on, and then realized I told them I had given them the remedy made from the ruru, from the mopo, from the owl. And interestingly enough, the owl is often a symbol in libraries of knowledge and book. And so I know for sure that this remedy, this homeopathic owl medicine, helps people study. And in another group of animal homeopathy, animal college, I was there. It was quite a large group. Several people took it and were able to see without glasses for a couple of days after they took our medicine. So that was interesting, but it didn't last. But I had it was such a magical journey to make a remedy of a plant or an animal and then find out what it did. It was just magical, the wood pigeon is about trust. I found out it's about trust, betrayal. It's a great medicine when the heart is betrayed. The kiru is about trust. And you look at the kiru, it's a small head but a huge chest. And it's very playful, it's very innocent. And magic happened when we did this. For example, a group of us, they took the kiru medicine and didn't know that they had taken it. We went outside to have lunch. We sat in a circle, and a kiru came and landed right in the middle of us and sat there looking at all of us while we're having our lunch. And I knew that that was what everybody was taking, It's very unusual for a kiru to land on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially but and I had the same when I did owl medicine. I had owls coming during the day, just this close. One touched me with the wing over my head after I'd taken owl medicine.
Wow.
But what actually happened, what I feel happened is that because we took the medicine energetic pattern of these beings, the kiru probably thought there was a gathering of kirurus.
Mm.
And
They
the
could
owl was
sense
thinking,
that.
and
Yeah.
the owl was thinking, what are the owls doing in my territory? And they came
Yeah.
right up front of me, and one just flew and touched my, But it was nevertheless, it was really magical, and that is what I love. I love exploring nature, and ever since then, I've taken people into the bush. When
Yeah.
I learned more about the plants and the animals, I got away from teaching, and I got more to listening. So if I take people into the bush, I always ask them to find the plant that they are really attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say, go into the bush and find your special friend. All right. And they're not allowed to talk. They're all quiet. They're going to this ancient bush with this huge cow. It's just amazing. They're going to find their special friend. And because it's their special friend, I know it sounds very simple, but it works. Because it's their friend, when you have a friend, what makes it a friend? A friend tells you your secrets, right? When you make it a friend, you share each other's secret. So it's like, you know what I'm getting at. So they've chosen a plant as their friend, and they resonate energetically with their being. So they receive lots of information. I'm learning from all these guys, There's some plants. I did this myself for 2 years every day with one plant for hours. At the Rainbow Track, I would go there and I would connect with one plant. I would walk into nature and ask the plant to come to my attention. Then I'll take a little bit of the leaves, hold it in my hand, and I go for a walk, and I accept that everything that I get in my thoughts, everything that I meet has to do with the energy of that plant. And I did it every day with different plants. And some plants really felt I could feel what they were about. They resonated with me. Other plants, no, some plants just didn't talk to me. So when I started doing courses, I had to wait till one of these participants chose that plant as their special friend. And I would get to know it. So I collected all these data over 30 years, with Mingi Mingi, a plant. If I felt that Mingi Mingi was for bad dreams, especially for children. That's what I got. It's for nightmares in children. So it was really lovely that a couple of years later, somebody in the course took their children into the bush. And she had done the course. She knew how to do that. And one of her daughters had nightmares. So she went into the bush and she said to the daughter, "You look for a plant that will help you with your nightmares." And guess what she picked? Mingi Mingi, the same plant that I thought was good for bad dreams in kids. So that to me is confirmation, that is, I was privileged to take so many people. And that is what I love doing now. This is, now I love doing my art, but I'm not focusing on that at the moment. I've got so much art, so much photos to capture these special nature beings. I still love to compose music. That's what I really love, but what I'm focusing on now is I'm doing homeopathy again on Zoom. I love doing homeopathy, get to know people and find their special frequency in nature, their medicine, the one frequency medicine that fits the whole picture. I love doing it. And the other passion I have, which is even a bigger passion, is to take people into the bush and have a group of people, and I have a group coming in Russell. They're organizing it. That's for November. That will be a nice group. They're organizing that themselves. And I'm just putting out at the moment that if people like to do this and they have a group already that come together, like a group of women or a group of men, whatever, then they can invite me. And I don't charge a huge fee for that. I think it's very reasonable. And I go there and then we have a great time for a couple of days. I take them into the forest, into the bush. I'll tell them my experiences of the four winds. There's a whole different story. Again, I got visions about the four winds, which gave me a platform to work with in nature. It's basically a platform based on the four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. In motion, that's the four winds: earth, water, fire, and air in motion. It relates to the directions, but I received visions that these elements are representing different aspects of a feminine and masculine. Fire, the protector masculine; air, masculine; water, the protector feminine; and earth, the nurturing feminine. So two aspects of the feminine, two aspects of the masculine. And in that way, it became very practical, because in nature, we find it too. Some plants are feminine, some plants are more masculine. So I can use this model as well to research. And that model also links in to the tree of life. So it offers a deep foundation for all nature medicine to be placed into the oneness that we all are. And how that is a mirror, a perfect mirror for us. All those feminine, masculine, all the plants, all the animals, genetically we have come out of that, out of those kingdoms. We have arose out of that. Genetically, we have all the imprints of everything in nature in us. So, but we have accumulated so much, we get lost, and then we forget certain gifts, so we can go back into nature and retrieve those parts of ourselves. We can, when we go into nature, they can go and spend their special friend, but we have done things. For example, there was a fallen cowrie a hollow where we go inside with the drum. And we journeyed all together to an ancestor where there had been a huge trauma in our lineage. And they all did it. And after they connected with that ancestor and the trauma, they went out into this ancient forest to find the plant or the tree that would bring the energy to bring harmony back in that genetic lineage. And people were crying. It was such a beautiful experience, in this ancient kauri tree inside, and you can use any intent in nature because it's a mirror. You can go, once you learn to do this, you can, if you have a problem with confidence, you can go into nature and say, which plant, tree helps me with my confidence? And you do that, and you do it with a passion. Something will call to you, and you feel it, how it helps you heal. And the beauty is, I don't have to look at the puzzle of trying to find them a medicine. They do it themselves. They go into the bush and they find their medicine. And that is beautiful. And it's so empowering for people to find their own medicine.
Yes, yeah, that's the beauty of it that you share. It is so empowering, and to know that interrelativeness with nature, and that is us as you share. And I really believe that as well. We have our biological parents and everything, and many of us know we're from the stars, and we come to this planet, and for me, we're birthed through this planet. And we are nature. Everything within us is nature, and it knows how to heal, actually. It's our disconnection with that. And what I feel you're sharing is the plant kingdom is just showing us that. It's showing that you have it all, and through not being that connected with it within yourself, you connect with us and we'll bring forward. And I love how you ask a question, you invite that into your field. Just sit with the plant, think about what you need and ask which plant can help you. And I've experienced it on a little bit of a course and that I did in Golden Bay, sitting with herbs and weeds, not going into native forests, but sitting with different and just feeling where they go into your body, and what part of your body can you feel them and what's going on. And like you share with the plants, like you say, the kiriru, which is a wood pigeon for listeners who aren't of
Yeah,
Aotearoa, New Zealand, but um, how its shape says everything about how it helps. It's got a small head and a massive big chest, and it's always pushed forward, isn't it? And even when it flies, it comes with a sound. You really feel it, and it can
yeah,
startle you even, or just you stand up, and that actually I find your chest gets pronounced. So it's beautiful how it heals the heart. It's so
yeah.
perfect.
Have you ever seen them doing the dive? They go into the mating ritual, and the male
Mm,
climbs into the air to high and then drops free fall all the way to the ground. So that's again trust,
yes.
and sometimes they land very close to the ground. I had one that I had to avoid, otherwise it would have hit me in the head, and that's a big bird, might have knocked me out. Um, yeah, so yeah, that what is on the outside is in the inside. But carry on. So you had that beautiful experience in
Oh,
Golden
yeah,
Bay.
no, yeah, it was. I've actually seen them as well. Even doing like what you're saying, falling, and even doing like circles. They just fly up, 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 and then they just like pause, and then they just drop. And they were doing like loops and coming back up, 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 and then looping back the other way. It's just like, my goodness, it's so magical. But yeah, I feel we're at a place where this is really coming around strongly. So I'm really grateful to have the likes of yourself that's so connected, and it feels like what you shared, you had an initiation with Earth herself. You went through that kind of 3-4 hours when you were with the Māoris, and kind of because of what you'd learned along your journey led you to that moment of actually this is really what you're here for, and this
Yeah,
and you have
and
such a deep relationship with it, and it's beautiful that you're sharing it in the way you are, and I feel it can help so many people. We've, like you say, we got so far removed, and we're got all these comforts that aren't really true comforts.
I mean, part of me would like to say, oh, I know the plants, but I know now that it's not the reality. The reality is we all know that nature, when we allow it to speak to us. So it made me much more humble, because I learned so much from my participants, and it frees me up not having to teach. They have their experiences, and I'll share my experience too if they want. But afterwards, later, I can share what I know about the plant. But in this way, there's no ownership either, and it's pure. I don't own it. Nobody owns it. We just go into the bush. We have our experiences, and then we leave everything in perfect state, um, and we give thanks for what we receive. Yeah, and I made many essences as well. I made homeopathic essences, used the homeopathic process, but I've come to find a process now of making essences that I think will be really nice to see people using, because it is using water, of course. We all know the power of water and the memory of water, but using it do this whole ritual. It's almost like a ritual, being very focused to get the medicine from the plants without hurting the plant. So you don't take anything from the plant. It's a method where we just bring the water to the plant, and there's certain phases of things that we do, and it's beautiful energy when you do it, when you make the remedy like that. And you don't need to hurt the plant. You don't take anything off. You bring the water to the plant. Yeah, so that's another thing that I'd like to share in my workshops, because I feel that is something I experience as being quite valuable. If people want to make essences, you know, everybody, I feel if you want to do healing and you want to work with medicine, I personally think that we all have been given a certain field of medicine to use. And some people may want to work with the trees. Some people will feel drawn to the flowers. Some people will feel drawn maybe just to the orchids. I mean, the whole family of orchids would bring such beautiful medicine. They're such beautiful plants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm passionate about that. To help people find what are the medicines they are to work with, and then guide them and help them guide themselves and how to make these essences in the perfect way that suits them. Choose
Yeah.
the medicine, make their own medicine, and I think those medicines will be beautiful, or a service to be offered to everybody else.
And you're saying like the water's the carrier of the healing.
The memory of the pattern,
Yeah.
and we have so much uh, power to with our thoughts and our intent to bring the energy into the water. So when we combine that with receiving the plant medicine and then our beautiful intent to make beautiful medicine, I would imagine if Vida Austin, that lady that makes all these beautiful photographs of the water, I
Yes.
wonder what she would see in those medicines made by people with love, where the plant is not hurt. So I think I need to maybe one day send her some medicine. Hopefully she can make a photo and show us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of proof of that, and I find it interesting how for a lot of people choose to ignore it. Maybe it's not ignore it, but maybe a bit too frightening to look into it as well. And we just know through studies, if you want to be just in a science way of living, science shows how much body there is in our water, in our body, how much water there is in our body and how much we're made of water. And then if we look at the planet as well, because we're very drawn to land because we live on land and we look at nature and all that. But if you look at the whole planet, it's so much more water than anything else, so it's totally right there in front of us, very simple, that
yeah,
water is an important aspect of our health and well-being and how we treat our own waters, how we treat our outer waters, our inner waters, what thoughts, feelings we're having with ourselves, they all play a part. And it's for me, it's simple and so obvious. It's very easy to see.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, yeah.
And it's great there's people doing these magic things, like yourself and Vida. Is it Vida Austin?
Yeah, she does some beautiful work with uh, what the Japanese man started,
Yes,
showing.
Motto. Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember his
I
first name,
don't
but yeah.
remember his name, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if people have a small garden, just where they live, a small garden, you can make already the essences from. And how wonderful to connect on such deep level with what is around you. They say the medicine you need often grows around you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
People only need a little garden. They don't need to make essences from native plant necessarily. Anything. You could make a set of medicines from the veggies,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I
energetic.
also like what you say. Like you may feel you're drawn to a certain vegetable, for instance, because you like that vegetable. But why do you like it? Is it because of the flavor, or maybe there's something else in the more deeper healing property of it
Mm,
that's for you that helps you feel good, and so I guess here there's a great invitation to have more of a conversation with everything from nature that you're engaging with, even yeah, the broccoli, you're really drawn to broccoli, and we know the properties of broccoli, but maybe there's something on a deeper level that it assists you in a certain area on an emotional level or within an organ or in a part of your body or somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
Because nature is always communicating with us, I believe, from a spider running across your bench top to,
Mm,
ants in your house to going out and a butterfly lands on your shoulder or all of it, and then the plants around you, yeah, like you say, the plants you need are in your garden already, because you're drawn to them and on some level you actually know that, but maybe we just haven't connected with it. But it's always communicating constantly. And if we open ourselves to that communication, we can learn so much about ourselves.
yeah, yeah. And I think we resonate all with different things around us. Uh, like I said, some with plants, some like to grow veggies, some like to grow the mosses would be another one. So I know some people really attracted to ferns. You could make a whole array of essences just from the ferns. They are amazing, very ancient plant. Um, and yeah, I agree. Whatever you identify with nature, if you get to know the spider will have a meaning, and then when the spider appears, it will have a message. If you identify the kiriru with trust, and you're sitting in the car and you're wondering whether it will ever happen, and then the kiriru lands on your car, you can trust, that something is good is going to happen. If you identify the owl with sitting still and not reacting, but just observing, then when you're very emotional, I had it happening, very emotional, I want to, and then the owl, and I think, okay, thank you. And the owl tells me not to react, to sit still, to observe and sit still. And the owl has many messages, but when we identify things in nature, even plants,
Yeah.
like Totara, Maori regarded as a leader, and it fits the energy of a tree, the masculine, the leadership, the honesty, the heart. Yeah, then you identify when you walk into the forest, everything becomes alive, everything
Mhm.
has meaning, everything. Yeah, it's wonderful. I really love it. If I need replenishing, I'll go and walk into the bush. And when I do it with other people, the energy gets multiplied. When you do it in a group, um, all this energy, it's like we give each other permission to step into our inner child, and we step into this magical dimension where everything is possible. Um, and when we do that, I go into another space. I become aware, really acute aware of everything around me, but I also become aware of what everybody is going through and what is feeling. And I don't know, that just happens. So I do have a function to holding the space. But other than that, that's what I do. I hold the space. And often with a group, I don't have a program. I always make a program, but I know from
Mm.
experience, the energy of the group will determine what we're going to do.
Yeah. So
And
that's just,
I
yeah,
haven't done it
being an
for so long.
allowance.
I can surrender it and just go with
Yes.
what the group needs.
Hmm.
Uh,
And that would
so
be reflective of the people in the group and yeah, the openness and all that as well, eh? So the field, basically you're talking with the field. I see that as in, and there's a direct commune when we're here, we want to collaborate with you, and nature responds and says, okay, well, this is how we're gonna communicate, and yeah, this is
yeah,
how it flows, and yeah,
yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah, 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 yeah. It is really lovely, and I've done it sometimes too for tourists. People from America, Hawaii that want to have a different experience. Take them into the bush. So I'm going to set up that again and do that a bit more because I'm 65 and I can do this for a long time, homeopathy and going into the bush. I might have to look for areas where there's not too many climbing eventually. But the areas where I go are usually easy to move, easy to go. Yeah, yeah.
And do you stay in huts or tents, or just depends on where you go? Or
I used to run courses over a year, once a month, a day, one day a month. So 10 days through the whole year, one day a month. So there was no need for them they would just come and then go home after the class.
Mhm.
Um, there are places that I can organize where people can come into the bush and there's a hut and they can stay. Of course, the prices will go up because accommodation and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm looking into that. Uh, I really like it that they come here, to the place. I've got bush here, or I go there and there's a group, and everything is arranged. Yeah, yeah.
And where are you again, just for our listeners?
I'm Northland. I'm just on the edge of Hokianga. On this side, I'm only 3 kilometers from State Highway 1. So it's not all the way to Rawani or Kohukohu. I'm still close to State Highway 1, but far enough to have nice bush and yeah,
Mhm. Far enough to be removed from that part of life and
yeah, yeah.
immersed in nature. Yeah.
I'm actually exactly central between Kaitaia, Kaikoui, and Kerikeri. It's all 40 kilometers away in Iden, different.
Mm. Oh, nice. That's a beautiful spot. Yeah. Beautiful energies up in Northland.
Yeah, yeah. They call this the Wild West, which is, my neighbor, Chris, he does rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is a bit of a Wild West, but it's beautiful. Yeah, it's away from everything, which I do like, I do like that feel, of the land. I grew up in Holland on the third floor from the age of 5. After we moved away from the forest at the age of 5, was on the third floor, and I was there till the age of 15. Yeah. So now to have all this here, it's just fantastic, beautiful.
Yes. So beautiful. I feel, people like yourself, because you become so open and connected with the energetics of other living beings, then it's also important that you're around that as much as possible, because you are also open to all sorts of energetics. So when you get into a dense area, town and everything, you're also still feeling, and you need to find tools and set your field and kind of prepare to go into that environment, because yeah, you're so sensitive, can we say, or in touch
Yeah.
with energetics. Yeah.
But when I went back to Holland, it's kind of funny. I never went into the depth of feeling spiritual connection with nature when I grew up in Holland. I was given that here from that experience, and then it just grew. When I've been back to Holland, I could hold that space there. I mean, we did courses there in Holland, just in the city, because there's trees and plants everywhere, and the Dutch take care of their nature. I mean,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
20 million people on the size of Northland.
Yeah, it's crazy, but there is a lot of forest. I was there a couple of years ago, and yeah, there's trees everywhere, and there is, like, I noticed also, even though they're very like things looking nice and neat and tidy, there's a lot of areas where they don't mow the grass, for instance. They just let it be wild, and that
Oh,
also
yeah.
looks like it looks tidy in some kind of way as well. It's quite
Yeah, usually
interesting.
tidy. It is usually tidy. I've seen people in Holland doing the grass with the scissors. So yeah, but they look after their nature and the streams and the water. You can drink out of it.
Hmm.
That's how well looked after it is. Yeah, but after I spent a half a year and then I couldn't wait to get back to New Zealand. I mean,
Yes, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Yeah, I
that's
find
something.
Europe is like that. I
That's
met some Austrian people, they were asking me about certain things, and they're like, in Austria, everywhere you can just drink tap water. That water's awesome, and I'm like, yeah, what are we doing in this country? But anyway, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah, yeah. We have to just look after ourselves.
We do. It's absolutely vital to have good, clean water. Food is important as well, but water is super important. And I take a Berkey filter with me everywhere I travel, and I drink as much from forest streams as I can because I, yeah, believe that they're healthy and good, and I don't have any issues. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's super important for us to care for, what we are drinking because it has a huge effect on our health and well-being. And we can say we're in a nice modern world and things are advancing, but you can look at a lot of the population and they're very unwell.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
So let's get on to on
I
Rob's
see.
courses and get them into the forest and connect with the plants.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, and now people love it. I had some people did it for years. Um, yeah, Steiner teacher, I had a Steiner teacher, loved it, of course, because that's nature is quite in their field, and she did the courses for years. Always the same. She didn't care. She just needed an excuse to be there with the course and go into nature and have that experience. It's very rejuvenating. Yeah,
Mm, a
yeah.
beautiful word. Yeah, rejuvenating. It is. It brings, I feel it brings you back into that essence of yourself, like a curious child. And, there's joy and you're uplifted and you feel good and you want to explore more, it's everything of
And
what
and
we truly are.
and the spiritual, it's spiritual, but it's grounded. It's around you. It's in
Yes,
nature, tangible. Yeah. Mm.
which is important, it's part of us being in this human vessel on this earthly plane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, magical. Oh, I mean, I feel really blessed as well with my connection with nature, and because you can lose yourself and be very removed from it, and then when you start to, open that doorway again, and you start to reconnect, it just brings so much. And I have so many amazing messengers from nature, especially the birds. I'm very connected with birds, and
Mm.
like you say, with an owl, I was driving in the Coromandel on a really windy road, and I came around the corner at night time, and there was an owl just sitting in the middle of the road, and I actually drove over it, and I was like, "Is that what I saw? Was that a moorpork sitting there?" And I turned around and I went back, and it was just standing up in the middle of the road, and I walked up to it, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And it had like its head tucked in, like it was sleeping, hadn't
Yeah.
moved. And so I didn't want to startle it too much, so I just patted it and it didn't
Wow.
move. So I patted it again about
You're
five
kidding me.
times and I just put a little bit more pressure and it
Yeah.
just stayed standing. And I was like, okay, what do I do here? And actually, when I turned around to come back, a four-wheel drive came whizzing around the corner and flew over the top of it as well. And it still stayed as it was. And so I just said, Okay, what do I do here?" And I just got told to stand up in a certain way and put my hands around it. And I just went, "Hey, bro, you can't stay here. It's not safe." And then it startled and then just flew up into a tree. And I
Wow.
was like, okay, that's cool. And then I asked, okay, so what was that about? And it was there was something that I needed to have some awareness that I had to sit deeper with in meditation. And so I got clarity on that thing. And then it also was showing me that when you're in your center and in your Zen, life just goes on by and you're not touched by the busyness and the chaos.
Yeah. Wow, that is a really powerful message. Powerful
Yeah.
encounter.
It
Beautiful.
was,
Mm.
yeah, it was amazing. And I was just like, it's so fascinating, how it's just on the road. And some people said, oh, it probably was in shock. And I'm like, I got hit and it was sitting there and it was in shock. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that can be possible. But there's also all these other deeper messages. And if we engage and inquire and ask questions, then we get these insights. And we can have such a different relation with ourselves through nature helping us because it's totally there all the time assisting us
Yeah.
and
I
we
think
we are here
this
to
was
assist
for
it.
you. There was something important for you, that encounter. It's a beautiful story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, I can share many. I moved from the South Island to the North Island because of the kahu. Like I had a bit of a feeling, but it was the kahu, which is the hawk, which is a great messenger that got me to the North Island, and my life transformed remarkably. And I was in Golden Bay in a beautiful space. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place. Yeah, I remember a hawk was sitting by the road, and I thought he was injured. So there was, after that experience I had on Mare Island, a lot of magical things happened because I had this total belief, convinced of magic exists and everything is possible. Anyway, there was a hawk sitting by the road, and I thought, oh, he's injured, but he was just sitting there. So I walk up to that hawk, and I thought, oh, are you injured? So I'll go bend over and I pick him up. And I was with a girl, with a woman. She was driving, and I had this hawk sitting on my hand. I thought, well, maybe it's injured. I'll better take it with me. So I went back into the car. She was driving, and I had this hawk. We're driving for 20 minutes, and I had this hawk sitting straight up on my hand, looking at me like this. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I get a good feel now of the bird. And she stopped when she was home, and I went out of the car, and the hawk flew away. Now I tell you, I had other times when I found hawks that were injured, and I took them with me so we could look after them. But be careful, because I have seen what damage they can do when the claw gets into your. But I was in that space,
Yeah.
of total trust, and
Total trust. Yes.
nature responds, the bird respond. It's we anything that happens in nature that's not good is because we are in between there,
Yes.
getting caught
They
up in
feel that
our stuff.
same energy, so they reflect it to us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is really
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's so
Beautiful.
nice that you have this experience and that connection as well, because that's I feel that when you have that, you're actually never alone.
No, that's right. Yeah. And it is, I feel you meet each other on a soul level. So you go beyond all the other stuff, and our fears and needs and wants and controlling and judgments and everything. And then you see each other for who you truly are and you can meet. And, just the other day walking the dog, um, there was two dogs. This lady was walking and they're quite withdrawn. And we were talking. She said they're not actually timid. They're just really sensitive to other people's energies, and they just, especially the young one, doesn't go near anyone. And it came to me, and I patted it a little bit, and then we were talking more, and then it came to me a second time, and kind of rubbed up against me a little bit, and then we talked to him, and she said, "Oh, it doesn't usually do that." And then we talked some more, and then the third time I like about knelt down and we cuddled and it kind of smudged into me. And she said, I've never seen that. It's never ever done that with anyone. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a dog person, I just connect. I
Yeah,
love
he felt.
dogs and I just see their soul when I connect on that soul level. And so it sees you, and it's just a reflection. And I've had that with other dogs where they're super aggressive and the owner's like got a fright. I'm sitting there patting that and they're like, what are you doing? Like it doesn't like people. It's like,
Yeah, you
oh
have a
yeah.
connection. Yeah, you have that. You have that connection. Yeah, I was going to tell a story, but maybe you know, there's in
Stories are
homeopathy.
good.
In
They're welcome.
homeopathy, they made a remedy of the dog. Do you know that?
No.
Lekkanina. It's dog's milk. They make a remedy out of that. Now, once I had a client, that was years ago when I was teaching a lot. I took all my clients on video with their permission. And that interview took about 2 hours. And here there was this lady, and she told me this horrific story that she had been abused all her life. On her wedding night, she was beaten up. She had never lived by herself. She was always really badly treated. And I thought, what am I going to give this lady for a remedy? And the main thing that she came for was speech problem. She couldn't, the words, she stumbled over her words. You couldn't, and so I went through the whole interview, and then she started telling me, do you have any dreams? And she said, yeah, I have this dream that there's a road and I'm coming on the road. And then I look to the right, and I look to the left, and then I walk a little bit on the road, and then I look again, and I thought, oh. And then she started getting to know her better. And then she said, there's another peculiar thing. When I go home, my neighbor has a dog. And I swear you, Rob, that dog thinks that I'm a dog. So responds to her really, really loudly and that and that. So I was thinking, what is the remedy? And then she said, the other thing that she was doing was to have a shower 3 times a day. Yeah. Anyway, I looked it up, and I thought, what is this? And I suddenly it clicked, and the remedy was lekkanina, dog's milk. And I realized that she has the energy of the dog with her, because that's the frequency of the medicine that she needs, is dog milk. So it is no wonder that the neighbor's dog thought she was a dog, because her frequency, her whole symptomatology resonates with lekkanina in the homeopathic materia medica. The frequency is the same. She has almost like, and she's been treated like a dog all her life. And anyway, I gave her the remedy, and she came back after 6 weeks, and I had it on video. It was really beautiful. And I said, what did you give me? It's incredible. For the first time, I left my abusive relationship, and I'm living by myself for the first time in my life. And she said, what did you give me? And I said, I didn't tell her yet. And she said, well, whatever you give me, I'll tell you what, I'm never going on all fours again, and I'm never going to be chained down again.
Wow.
And I thought it was so, you know, it is so beautiful how when you think about this, you meditate about this, you can get a lot of insight in how we resonate with frequencies. Yeah, it was really wonderful to see that. You don't see that every day, but
That's
yeah,
incredible.
that was an
Incredible story. Yeah, thank you. And I had shivers while you told me that, like especially the last part when I'm never going down on all fours or chained down again. And then I looked, because Spirit does this, I looked at the clock and it was 11:11.
all right.
And I was like, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel what you've just shared is I don't know, it's profound, and also the simplicity of it because it's tangible, it's like reading the energies and knowing what you need, what someone needs, and transforming their life like that. That's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
There's
Thank
another
you.
thing that it really taught me that I thought was really important. When we make a remedy of something, like we make a remedy of the dog's milk, the dog naturally is not an abused being, but it has become an abused being in the past by many people. So it has taken on that energy pattern in its medicine. And it taught me that whatever we think about something can become part of that energy pattern. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
If we put beautiful energy and thoughts into the dog, that dog remedy will no longer be needed for people that are being abused, but for loyalty or for the positive gifts that the dog had. It taught me how powerful we are in our mind. If we all start treating a certain plant with a certain feeling and respect, that energy that we send out will become part of the energy of that plant. If we make a medicine of the plant, we can connect to the plant, and we also connect to all the beautiful thoughts that has been sent to it. So that's the power that we have. You think about it. You think about it. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was really beautiful. So whatever thought we impart on something, on an object or an animal, if we do that repeatedly and we do that with a lot of people, it will become part of the pattern of that animal. So we can make things very more beautiful and by our thoughts, by honoring, by sending respect. It's really simple.
Yes,
I
yeah,
thought
and I feel
that
it's
was a
like
nice.
our cells respond to everything as well, like that, so we can create the world we wish to see as though it's already here, basically. So you can already, instead of getting caught in doom and gloom or whatever, just start to feel what it's like to live in abundance and live in harmony, living free and expressive, and feel that in our body, and that starts to generate within our field, and then we start
Yeah.
to see the reflection of that in our outer world, and it's, yeah. So I feel that's similar to what you're sharing there, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. We're incredible beings. We have so much
Mm,
potential, potency.
mm.
Yeah.
How much time do we have left? Have we got a little bit more time? Wow.
Yeah, we can carry on. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when I was doing this, setting up the work of research for the plants, I was working with Barry Brailsford on the Wisdom of the Four Winds cards, and he asked me. I gave him a document of 78 plants, poems, and he asked if he could use that to write a book, which became the Wisdom of the Four Winds book and cards. And then he asked me, in the process of doing that, he said, Rob, we need to know the foundation for the cards. We need to know how many cards there are going to be. So I said to Barry, okay, I'll do in the morning, I do my meditation at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I did my sadhana at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had a beautiful meditation. And I received the format for the cards. And I received that by a vision of a man in white, looked like Gandalf. He was sitting on the base of a huge Pohutakawa that grew all the way into the universe. And in my meditation, he looked at me. It was a very powerful vision. It was not just me, toddling off on a dream. That was very, very focused vision. He looked at me and he said, "This is where the journey starts, and this is where it ends. I am Pohutakawa. I am the tree of life. I am number 49. So I rang Barry. I said, we need to have 49 cards. And then Barry said, well, we add the 0. And that was very wise of him, because that fitted beautifully. Anyway, when I started writing some of my own material around it, I found out there was a lot more to it, that these 49, I am 49. The chakras in our body. We have 7 main chakras, right? So 49 and 0 is 50, okay? Now the chakras are actually community centers. They are actually centers of different energies that link into the organs and endocrine, hormonal system, right? So when you look at the chakra chart, you'll see that the Vishuddha chakra, that's in the throat, has 16 petals. It's a lotus flower with 16 petals. The Anahata chakra, the heart chakra, is a lotus flower with 12. The Manipura chakra is a lotus flower with 10 petals, and so on, and then 6 and 4, 49 and 0 when you all add it all up. So the format that I was given of the 49 was actually representative of the 49 subglands that form our 7 main chakras. And I was shown, as the vision continued, that her whole evolution from pure consciousness to solid matter, and then returning with intelligence and consciousness, we go back to the source, but this time with full awareness. So we're not going back the same way. No, we're going back with full awareness. We come from it, And we go through this whole evolution to the different kingdoms, and we go back with full awareness. Guess how many faces? 49. I was shown that has 49 faces of, and so we are our whole evolution from the beginning to the end, and also us reaching our final goal is already right here in our body. We don't need to worry. We have everything. The whole universe is in our body. And I use that. I could go in more detail, but you know, Nahawefa, Maori word for the four winds. The four winds are the pillars that hold this tree of life of 49 pillars into place. The three-dimensional tree of life of 49 pillars. And lo and behold, there is a marae in Bennydale that was built by the elders by a gift from the stars, and it was built in a cross. It burned down, but it was built in a cross, and it had 49 pillars. And the 49 pillar was right in the center, and 12 in each direction, which is 48, right? And the 49 is 4 plus 9 is 13. So that central place is the recycle place of all these different directions. And the visions I had about this were intricate, and I could share a lot more about it. But it was so beautiful for me to see that Maori had received this too in vision. And I find these temples all over the earth, all over the planet. And there's many that have 49 pillars. And I think that the earth body, the body of the earth, our body has 49, I call them anchor places, that anchors all our potential and tells our journey from the beginning to our realization. The earth is the same. It's a Russian doll. The earth has 49 places. And on these places, alien civilizations have built these temples that when we're ready, they're going to satellite all our centers. When we go to these temples, we don't experience the external temple. No, we experience the divine energy in us that resonates with that place, right? And there's 49 energy grid lines going through the universe. There's, you know, altogether there's the planets, the star systems that are a bigger version of this 49, and it carries on like that. And it is so wonderful to have that system to hold the plants, the minerals, the animals, and us. And there's no, I have nothing against religion. Religion can be beautiful. Some people practice religion in the most beautiful, profound way. But this is not religious, so there's no conflict. The truth of this is found in many native cultures. They have this, we have it, the Celts, the Vikings, they have the tree of life. They have all these dimensions. All the stories that I received about these 49, you find in some shape or form in all the different indigenous cultures in the world. So to me, Nahawefa, the Four Winds, is a beautiful philosophy to hold, a universal philosophy that we can adapt to learn about ourselves, to learn about nature. And it's us, you know, it's us. It's 49, it's us. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The
and
interconnectedness with all things.
yeah, and all these sub glands in the body that make the chakras, they have individual sounds.
Yes.
And these 50 sounds are the 50 sounds of the Sanskrit alphabet. Yeah, so I mean it's pretty amazing.
It's very,
Um,
very
yeah.
beautiful sharing that you just shared, and quite an extraordinary journey you took us on. So, yeah, really grateful for that. That was really beautiful.
One time I would love to do workshops and journey to these places in our body. But that's don't think I'm ready for that yet. Yeah, that's.
Do you
But in the
feel
meantime,
each one of us has sorry, do you feel each one of us has our own unique sound that we come here with, and that sound is the same sound throughout our whole life, or as we evolve and open up more, that sound can change into another sound?
yeah. Yeah, I think both is possible. I know we have sound, and you're right.
Yes.
Maybe we can change that sound. We also have a pure self that is all the time there from the very beginning anyway. So there will be a constant sound as well. And then all the sounds we make around it. But yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful sound. I've always thought, you can do so much with sound, but you have to have total faith and trust in
Yes.
your vocal ability and your way to tune in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a very direct way of healing, a beautiful way of healing sound.
Very
I know
much.
people
Very.
do it. People
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just talking about this. I'm just reflecting on a time I was in the Kaweka forest outside of Napier, and I was sitting at a river there. I was staying at a lodge, and I was just sitting there, and I was really just listening to the river and the sounds it was making as it was going through the rocks and the flow of it and everything. And then at some point, I really was just with it, and then I just could hear like a boys' choir singing, and that was the sound that presented itself by just, being there long enough and going deep enough it was just so beautiful, like to hear such a sound. And it was definitely the river that was expressing itself in that moment for me in that way.
I think you stepped up in that moment to receive more subtle sound waves because we only have limited, hey.
Yes, that's it.
Unless
Don't
you work
listen
on it
without,
or
yeah, exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like we're such feeling beings, and we're so energetic, everything's about energies and that, but we've learned to smell with our nose and look with our eyes and hear with our ears, and they serve us to a degree, but there's all those, they are beyond that
Mm,
physical way, and it's like just having that openness. For me, it's about dropping into my heart, and
mm,
it's like a question, but I haven't asked a question, but I'm asking something to show itself to me, or communicating on that level of I see you, and therefore it can see me, and then it feels safe or feels okay, or we just drop into, like to say, a whole different frequency where we meet each other in that place, and you get to experience something different than what you would if you weren't in that.
mm. Somehow you made me think of Saint Francis. You know Saint
Hmm.
Francis? Yeah. Yes, it just came into my mind, your energy with the animals and everything. Maybe you resonate very on that frequency very well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Wow,
Yeah.
this has been beautiful. It's been, yeah, I really blessed to connect with you, and you come on and share your wisdom, your life experience, your everything that you, because that's what I find you're really sharing from experiencing, and that's really important. I feel that we come to Earth here to experience, and most of what you've experienced is from a higher aspect, but it's here on this planet, it's here within our body,
Yeah.
and it's tangible and it's actually simple. So it's anyone, wherever they are on their journey, can open themselves to this. So yeah, I feel really blessed that, and I feel we could just carry on talking and talking, and there's much that we could
That was
share.
actually one thing I wanted to mention. Um, in connecting with nature, there's a very special gift and many people do that naturally, many artists do that naturally. When you really open up to nature and you let in all this, it is the most beautiful, empowering tool to stimulate your creativity. I feel that connecting to nature will, if people do that, will open up to their creative side. They will paint, they will make photos, it has done that for me. I was blocked as a 13-year-old. I got my first guitar. I already composed songs about a dragonfly and a boy and blah, blah, blah. But I had a block. And it took me so many years, actually almost until, not to long ago that I completely felt that I don't have that block anymore. And I know that is because of my interaction with the plants and with the trees. Yeah, so particularly for artists, if you're artistic and you don't really know, have found your niche, explore nature, come and do a course, and you will find that you are, it will trigger you into your creativity. Yeah, that's something I thought I really is important to me to share, because that's the biggest gift that all this journey has given me, is unblock my creativity. I'm sure I could do some more unblocking, but I can write songs now freely. Often, they come, and I'm receiving so much pleasure and joy out of that. Yeah, so I thought,
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you. Yeah, and we do all come with our own unique creativity, creative expression, and creativity. So it's really beautiful message to finish with. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure people will be touched by this. And thank you, Rob, for coming on and
thank you.
sharing your love light with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Jacob. That was very pleasant. And you're very easy to talk to, and so nice to get to know you better too.
Yes, yeah, you too. I feel we can do another one. So yeah, thank you listeners for joining us, and stay tuned. I think there could be a part two. So thank you very much, and go well. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Okay, Jacob. Thank you.